July 2021, I'm doing a middle of a really wild collection here, folks. This deal is not completed. I do not own these cards in this particular video yet. I'm going to get I think this will be a good second opinion, see what the public thinks on like valuation of certain cards. So this is a deal I don't know if it's going to go through at this point in time. Let me explain to y'all what's going on here. So we have over here, we have foil promos. That, believe it or not, those are neat. Those are really cool cards. So we got, obviously, the heavy hitters. We got the old City of the Old Ass over here. We've got the old Gia's Cradle. Nice Shooting Star promo. And, of course, Intuition. Some other really cool promos over time there. Talk about that. Obviously, when you see those, you really don't have to worry too much about counterfeits on these particular type of cards. The issue on these is always it's foil, just like old foils. The number one issue, excuse me, number one issue is going to be surface clouding. So that's always the biggest thing that makes buying these type of cards very difficult. Because look, ready? Beautiful looking card. Look at that. That looks like a Gem Mint PSA 10 card. Gorgeous. But if you send it to grading, they're going to go like this. Yeah, your surface is nowhere near. The black gets this weird cloudiness. Well, not besides the chip, but I mean, just this overall surface has a really weird. It's very strange on how that happens with foil cards. They've always done that. Some people claim that's like due to the oils being handled years ago and how it ages on the card. I don't know. Like here's a good example. Look at this, folks. So look how gorgeous that is. Like that looks like a gorgeous, perfect gem mint. And then of course, when you actually audit or grade these things, the entire surface is scraped up. Looks like regular surface being slid on tables, but more importantly, it has that, like on the black, on the top there, the border has that black oxidation. That's always been something I've heard people talk about over years, but it's so difficult for old foils. That's one of the reasons like PSA 10 graded foil cards are a huge premium. Like I've always felt like PSA 10 graded old foils or like promo foils, like to find a cradle that's like a PSA 10 because of the foiling and everything, and the way the surface, see how all the chip, it starts to kind of like chunk up or something. Like being able to get that as a perfect grade or something is just a really, I don't know, it's a really weird thing. And I don't know what causes that with the way the cards are manufactured. So I always thought this. So, most important part of the video here, obviously we have promos foils, vintage foil cards over here. We have some unlimited Power 9 Moxins. We got 2 of the infamous, so we have 5 pieces of unlimited power. Beautiful looking cards, especially this recall. Absolutely near mint, beautiful, beautiful card. This card excites me more than probably any card in the whole video. I will tell you that right now. And of course, we have an Alpha Time Twister. That'll be a good conversation to talk about with you all. That was the pinnacle of this particular collection, followed by a Beta Mox Ruby over here. Absolutely wild looking Beta Mox Ruby. And of course, we have a couple pretty well-loved dual lands over here. Not gonna lie, very well-loved, but very cool cards. And we have a few of the, I like to call kind of the really tier 2 good reserve list cards. The Diamonds, the Grims, Exploration from the Saga, the infamous Drake there. That one's really moved up a lot recently in the last like 2 years. This card used to be not much at all. Then, of course, City of Traders, the old Survival, the old Academy, Metalworker, Sanctum, and, of course, Lauren Intuition in the Helm from Alliance. And, of course, we got a couple Portal cards. Portal First, Second Age, and P3K at the end here. Just a couple cards. Nothing, no like $1,000 Imperial Seal or anything crazy like that. And then we have a couple in the middle here that are actually just more of the Four Horsemen set. Not really much anything major, more smaller tier cards. But again, these have value now. Like these used to be $5, $10. Even nowadays, these are going to be probably between $30 to $100 a card, depending on condition and the quality of the card. I mean, obviously, if it's got corners busted out like that, it's not going to be a $100 card, but you get the idea. It's obviously the very nice mana drain on that one, a little damage on the top, but very good looking card. And of course, a lot of Dreamweaver. That's probably one of my favorite ones. I always felt that was underappreciated. Soul Kanar, very cool dude. Dr. Stang, the old Tensu. And anyways, so we're gonna start the video off right here. The biggest problem we have, I don't know if this deal is going to go through because this is obviously the most expensive card in the collection. A very, very well-loved, heavy played Time Twister. Now, here's the issue. So the card itself, I have no problem, heavy played. We all know that. It wasn't a surprise to me. And immediately you can all see, do you notice the black coloring at the top? You notice anybody? you're going to notice very, very quickly that unfortunately, this card has been really well touched up. Let me get Rudy's tool here. Hang on, let me put that down nicely. Let's get Rudy's tool. It's been a while. He hasn't visited the videos. He hasn't really been a part of this. So, if you look at these type of cards, the problem is normally that should be right. See this? That's all Sharpie touch up. Like that, all that black across there should not be there. Even a heavy played card. We have another heavy played card off camera here. Let me find something. I'll say, well, this is really heavy played, but it should always be a white line, even if it's dirty. Here, actually, you know what? Here, even if the card is dirty, like this heavy played flipping, you should still see. You see the dirt, and you can see the brown from the dirt, but that black line, or I'm sorry, there's no black line. The white edge continues all the way across. So even when the card is heavy played and dirty, you should be able to do this kind of spin across, and you should be able to see the white edge on the black card. And that's the first thing that most people will look for. And it just really sucks to see alpha cards that very clearly, unfortunately, it is what it is, folks. Let me see how close I can get that. I know it's tough to view this type of stuff on camera. I don't know if you all can even see it or not. But you can see it looks like somebody dabbed it across here. Looks like what they did is they kind of went across it and just tapped the card with the Sharpie. And I mean, it kind of is what it is. This is, oh, here you go. Look at this. So this one is actually the top and the bottom. The bottom here, if you guys actually see there, all the way across the middle. There's touch-ups in the corner right there. You can see the black. And it sucks to see that, man. But again, this was very common back in the day, folks. So, I mean, and the worst part about it is, once there's any form of inking, you can't remove it, and you can't grade the card. That's the issue. It can literally, the grading company will just slap you with the authentic altered card, and they won't even assign, like this card would probably grade like, I don't know, a Beckett 4 or something, maybe a 4, maybe a 3 to 4 range, but now they won't even give it that. It just sucks. So the Ruby over here, unfortunately, same issues. This one's beautiful, especially from a distance in a sleeve. Beautiful beta Ruby. Yeah, the corner has a small bend in the top there. It is damaged. You can see the corner. But, again, more importantly, when you look at the cards, it's just frustrating because then you go, wait a minute. What is this corner? Why is this corner completely touched up? You can even see the black shine. I was like, wait a minute. That's the only thing that sucks on that. You run into these things when the whole thing gets touched up with marker. And it's just like, man. It's like, I think this card would probably grade like a 6 or 7. And then I saw that, I was like, well, so much for even having it graded ever. But unfortunately, this particular card was not touched up as much as the Alpha. This one looks like they just did the corner. I don't know if you guys can see. I'm trying to make it because the camera keeps wanting to focus on my pink flamingo back there. Is any? I don't think it has. I think it's just the bottom on that one. Oh, no, I lied. There is a little bit more. There's a black dot there from a marker. But besides that, I will show you the thing that's most exciting to me in this video, though, which is this. Now, this is just stunning. Let me just be very clear with everyone. Check this out, everybody. That is nice. Unlimited Ancestral Recall. Now, that is really nice. That is like museum quality. That's a gorgeous near mint to mint card. That is fantastic. So, anyways, and then if you go down here, let's look at the, let's see here. Let's pull up a Mox. So it makes it difficult. Like I said, I always tell everyone out there, and I know most of the touch-ups and things have happened a long time ago. They don't really happen nowadays. And I know most of these cards were touched up in the past. We don't have roller lines. You guys notice that? No roller lines unlimited. That's a nice thing. But unfortunately, a lot of these older cards, that's just what they did back in the day. And you have to be real careful on that because you can't get them graded. And that's a really big deal as we march into the future. So overall, I wanted to jump over. I just thought you guys, it's kind of this, it sucks to see that. And, you know, whenever I run into that stuff, I always kind of stop. I contact the seller and I'm like, hey, just be aware this is what's going on. And you got to kind of make sure because sometimes they won't believe you. Sometimes they just say, well, I didn't know that. Sometimes they were aware. Sometimes they bought it that way. Some people buy it, kept it in a sleeve or played it for 20 years. They didn't know. So there's no real way to differentiate. So you got to be real careful accusing people of trying to slip a fast one by you or do something. Most of the time, you know, people don't really audit their cards until the day comes when they go to sell it. So you really can't blame most people because, I mean, think about it. Are you really going to take that much time to look at every piece of card? I mean, nowadays you will because they're expensive. But back in the day, if this guy bought these 20 years ago, I mean, what do you pay? $100 for the card? You know, I mean, in the 90s, the cards just weren't that expensive. So I want to comment too before I'm going to jump over to some other conversations. I want to focus just on that. Again, a lot of conversation around this portal stuff lately. I'm not sure what's been going on with the comments on portals. Again, the black bordered is actually the original portal, which is strange. And then, of course, the white borders are the Portal Second Age and the Portal Three Kingdoms. Or is that? I always get it confused. Maybe that's the starter set. I always get the starter confused with the starter or the Portal Second Age. I always mess that up. But obviously, the most important that people love is always going to be P3K. And yes, they're not reserve lists. Yes, they're going to continue to reprint P3K cards. They've already done that. Imperial Recruiters. I would expect the actual Zodiac Dragons. I would expect, you know, Imperial Seal, even though it's already been done in a promo. I would expect a lot of the P3K cards to get reprinted. Now, I don't think it matters at all for the originals, even though they're not reserve list, because the unique style. Now, if they reprint the exact art in the white border and everything, well, that's a different conversation. We'll probably have to make a follow-up video, but I don't personally see that happening. I don't know the legality of the artwork, who owns it, and what's going on with that set. But there is definitely a lot of people that are very collected and invested into the P3K stuff. And there's even a lot of people, don't get me wrong, that love the original Portal and the Portal Second Age. There's a good market for that. There's a really chunk of people out there that really have a passion for those cards. So that's, and I do consider like P3K to be a highly desirable thing. Like I don't want to sit here and say, oh, it's a tier 1 investment, but it is an investable thing. People do look at it that way. And again, not a licensed advisor. I'm a dude in a basement. So, of course, you know, you may want to talk to someone who knows what the hell they're talking about. But that's my opinion. Now, over here, I'll comment real quick like we did at the beginning of the video. On some of these, no matter what the market does on pullbacks of the Stronghold, Exodus, Weatherlight, you got Saga, Legacy, Destiny, Exit. I mean, any cards from this era. Oh, Tempest, that was the name. And Alliances. Any cards from these eras, if you see a pullback, which is what's going on right now, on even buy list prices or store prices or eBay listings ending lower, people selling them locally to raise cash because, you know, the government's not handing out free checks anymore. You know, inflation's happening, things are tightening. We're starting to evolve now past this 2020 disaster. Be aware, I really am very bullish on these type of cards because they're not thousands and thousands or 5,000-10,000 a card or anything crazy like an Alpha Beta Power. I mean, these things are still really, really affordable for a lot of people who may join Magic, get a part of StrixHaven or D&D or MH2 product, build, you know, decks, enjoy Modern or Standard, maybe they build an EDH, swap over to Commander, and then maybe they start going to, hey, you know what, I always want to have some, you know, I always want a Mox Diamond or a Grim. I mean, even a Mox Diamond today, even at $500 is still, in my opinion, a great entry point. Even if you went on eBay and paid retail. You know, even if you go, same thing with Grim Monolith. The Drake, I mean, that's more of a niche card, but still. City of Traders, again, another very niche card, but still very cool. Survival, classic card. I mean, just nothing to say. Metalworker, probably one of my favorite Urza's Destiny cards of all time. The artwork, it's just such a bizarre card, man. If you have in Rudy's old school artifact deck, dude, this was where I was at, man. I had a handful, like 4 artifacts, man. Ridiculous, man. Boop. Reveal 4. Boop. I get 8 colorless mana. Absolutely perverted, man. It doesn't even cost anything to activate. It was like a turn 1 Mishra's Workshop dropped this thing. Turn 2, he was like Colossus of Sardia on turn 2. It was hilarious, man. I mean, if I knew how to play. I'm just making that up. Anyway, Sarah Sanctum, again. Saga cards like this, absolutely just, in my opinion, priceless cards. Tuition, I don't, is Tuition reserve list? Maybe, I know there's a couple Tempest cards that are not. Tuition might be, I'm not sure. Helm, again. Alliances, Powerhouse, Rockstar. All right, so before we go too far in the video, I want also, or too far, I guess, before we cut the video off, I want to talk about the promos in the end, but I want to talk about regular foils again. So regular vintage foils are kind of foils from the Urza's Mercadian Mask. Maybe here's some Onslaught, Nemesis, Odyssey, type of Scourge type cards. Here's an Urza's there. There's an Onslaught card. What is this one? There's oh, I'm sorry, not Onslaught. That's Odyssey, then Onslaught. You know, Urza's foils are my favorite. Those are my favorite. Foils from the later sets, from more of the 2000s there, are not as much my favorite, but there's a very loyal following for cards from that era. And there's also, again, if you can get, and that's why, and people, okay, how do I say this? Rudy, why is a box of Scourge $1,000? Why is a box of Onslaught $2,000? Because look, this card may be worth, I don't know, $100 is a foil Onslaught rare. But if this was a PSA 10 or a Beckett 9510, because you actually cracked a box of Onslaught and you actually got it graded, like literally pack fresh in 2021, the card will fetch a tremendous premium. And that is one of the reasons that vintage sealed product that have foils have huge multipliers. I mean, a box of Legacy and Destiny, remember Saga has no foils. This is a promo Saga foil. So Urza Saga doesn't, remember Legacy Destiny, remember Urza's Legacy was one of Rudy's all-time favorites. And because it was the first expansion set, remember 7th edition was the first core set with foils. Urza's Legacy was the first expansion set with foils, okay? And I knew a long time ago that that was going to be a very special moment in Magic's history. And here we are in 2021. Obviously, Urza's Legacy boxes is just, to me, you get one, usually one, sometimes two, but usually always 99% of the time, one foil rare per box. Even if the foil rare is bad, if you can get a PSA 10 in a Urza's foil, dude, you're looking at like a 10x multiplier. I mean, a $100 card goes to over 1,000. If you hit a Grim Monolith and you get PSA 10 and it's a foil Grim Monolith, forget it. Absolutely forget it, man. You're talking stupid money. So I wanted to comment on that. Lastly, on this video, I'm going to jump over here. I want to comment on some of these promos. So this is something I actually do personally enjoy. I don't consider them investments. I understand the Cradle is actually reserve list and they reprinted it as a foil a long time ago. I don't really consider, well, I mean, this would be considered an investment, I guess, because it's reserve list, but I always thought the promos and the old Judge foils and specialty reward foils and DCI, these are DCI, see the little DCI logo? A long time ago, was this late 90s? What year is it? 2001? Oh, 2 years past the 90s. Swords to Plow, awesome. Vampiric Tutor, DCI, very cool. Brainstorm, FNM, DCI, very cool. FNM also. Of course, Intuition, DCI promo. Soul Ring, DCI. And of course, Time Warp. And of course, the infamous Will. This is another one of those Urza's cards that I believe is reserve list. That's become very expensive recently. And again, unfortunately, unless it's really, really taken care of, you'll probably see it's probably going to have chips and surface and different things. This one's not too bad. I mean, not going to be no PSA 10 minty, but this is pretty nice. That's not too bad at all. That's not going to be, that's more of a better looking, a little bit of the oxidation, but that one's way better than average. And of course, I want to come way in the back here to, of course, book promo Mana Crypt. It's just is what it is. Okay. Last part of the video, I know no one's watching. Fruitcake Rudy Elemental. So these are part of the holiday tradition that Wizards does. Some of these are very difficult to get. They're not super expensive in thousands of dollars, but they're tough to find. Many times, there's not a lot of these on the open market. They're more of a meme card. It's a fun card, you know? And those holiday cards over the years, I remember there was like a Mishra's Toy Shop, and there, like Goblin snow sledding or skiing or something. There's a lot of cool cards that they did and stuff like that. And I think those are actually a really unique kind of pseudo reserve list weird thing. Those are fun little corners of the Magic market. Does that make sense? And I think overall, there is a lot of weird opportunity in that. So when you see market conditions swinging around like this, everybody, you know, don't just always focus on like, oh, Power 9, rah, 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 which is, hey, I'm not saying if you can find them and the bidding is weaker on eBay and the prices have dropped some, which they have. Buy list prices have been coming way off their highs. Dual lands are way off their highs, you know, and I get it. But if you can find them and the bidding is weaker and you have the resources to maintain a soft market, you know, I do still think the long-term potential has not changed at all. I think another couple years from now, prices are going to be firming up and going back up. And I think, again, the 10-year plus time horizon for this stuff is still extraordinary. I think alpha beta cards are literally like museum level stuff. And even the unlimited power, I still think, you know, I know it's crazy. And I know I'm biased because I have a lot of it. And you guys know how I feel about white bordered power because it's the only Power 9 in white bordered. Alpha, Beta, and Collector's Edition, you got 3 versions of black border. And I know I've been like a minority in this, but I've always felt that the white bordered, since it's the only version you can get it. There's 3 versions of the black border and 1 version of the actual unlimited. I always felt that those were underappreciated. And I know the higher print run, blah, blah, blah. But I've always felt there's going to be a day where even unlimited Moxins and any of these unlimited power will all be like $10,000 plus a card. I think it's going to be another 5, 10, 15 years, but I do still believe that because I think the original Magic, as we go further and further into the future, is going to become more and more of just a rarity. They're just, I mean, if you look at the quantity on the market, every year the quantity for sale declines from the previous year. I don't care if the price drifts up or drifts down, the quantity moving is declining. And to me, that is a more important metric than the actual price per card. So that's all I got. Hope you guys learned something today. I don't know, would you guys pay big money for inked cards? I mean, I don't know. That's what I said. It's going to be up to the seller on here if he's going to want to come down in price. Because even buy list on these things, even played condition on buy list, once you got Sharpie and ink, it's a game changer, man. It kind of sucks. Unfortunately, honestly, I'd rather pay the mint condition full high-end price versus because I mean, the opportunity for this in the future is way bigger and more exciting. But it is what it is. Can't wait to see everyone's reaction. We haven't done a lot of collection videos lately, so for those of you interested in this stuff, remember, if you have high-end old cards, AlphainvestmentsLLC at gmail.com. Remember, comment section below. I don't reply. I don't type any comments pretending to be me or fake. Anybody using other social media websites pretending to be me, it's not me. All I do is use Patron private messaging and AlphainvestmentsLLC at gmail.com. And you do the old PP thing, pictures and prices. That's the only thing we do. Past that, obviously be careful for scams out there. As always, thanks for watching. Hope you all learned something today. Remember, pay attention, surface clouding, look out for inking on blackboarded. Of course, don't underestimate some of these. P3K is interesting. Promo, a lot of fun stuff here. Just like I said, be educated. The more you learn about this stuff, the more it can help you into the future. So have a great day, everybody.